What's up, highly cerebral humanoids? This is episode 5 of the Clappercast, and I'm Burke.
And I'm Sean.
And we got a lot of topics today. I guess we'll jump right in then. Don't waste any time here.
Well, we're highly cerebral humanoids. We can't be just sitting around doing nothing. We got to be going all the time.
It's all about efficiency with highly cerebral brains, you know? Okay, so to start things off, let's talk about the big trade that happened since our last episode. The Brassard for Bjugstad. Bjugstad?
Nick Bjugstad.
Okay.
I know you don't often see that spelling of a name, but Bjugstad.
What a highly cerebral humanoid to spell his name that way. Okay, so...
But how about Brassard? How is he ranked on the highly cerebral humanoid scale?
I don't know what his highly cerebral humanoid per 60 is.
How many times could we say that before we screw up?
Yeah.
For reference, in case you haven't noticed, or heard about it anyways, Pierre Maguire decided to call Chris Kreider a highly cerebral humanoid during a game. This was right after he dropped a loud F-bomb on the bench.
It was right at the same time. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, good stuff. So anyways, back to Derek Brassard for Nick Bjugstad and extras.
Yeah, so the Pittsburgh Penguins acquired Nick Bjugstad.
There you go.
And Jared McCann in exchange for Riley Sheahan and Brassard, a second and 2 fourth-round picks.
Yes.
So I feel that it's pretty balanced.
Yeah, it's kind of like
maybe an extra pick.
I mean, to be honest, like what's the fourth round pick's worth, anyways? Chances are
it's Jamie Alexiak.
Very true. We have an exact value of a fourth round draft pick.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that it's fairly equal. I mean, Brassard's struggling with he was struggling with Pittsburgh and didn't really fit in there. But he's still a pretty good player, and I mean Riley Sheahan again is a player who's had some struggles, but
he did score the last goal at Joe Louis though, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, pretty funny. Doesn't score like all season. I guess the last
saved it up for the big finale.
Did he get 2 goals in that game?
I think so.
Yeah. So Detroit Red Wing legend.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a fairly balanced trade. I mean, it was a whole bunch of guys who were relatively underperforming. So it's not like stacking up a bunch of assets for one better one. It's just kind of a whole bunch of fresh starts for guys. And I think it also fits what each team needs right now. That Pittsburgh was looking for a little bit of cap relief, I guess. Because I think both the guys they acquired, their contracts end at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And Florida was okay with looking for some maybe longer term, or they're okay taking the extra stuff because Brassard's been historically a pretty solid midline forward.
Yeah, definitely a guy who can step it up in playoffs as well.
Totally.
If Florida happens to make it, but I don't know.
Don't think they're close enough.
But I did want to touch on, I think Brassard's going to get flipped for something else because
his name's been talked about.
Expires at the end of this season. So it doesn't really make sense for Florida to hang on to him. It's been rumored that Florida's going heavily after Bobrovsky and Panarin.
Yeah, they're linked very highly with both.
And Brassard is a guy who's played for CBJ before. I think he kind of got moved because he was kind of a dick and was upset that Johansson was taking his spot.
Oh, I'm not sure. I just remember him playing in Columbus.
But yeah, he's been away from Columbus for a while.
Yeah,
because I think that was his first team, and then New York, and then Ottawa, and then Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
Or did he take a little trip to San Jose and then go to Penguins or something?
I don't think so. I think he stayed in the East the whole time.
I thought it was one of those trades that was...
Oh, like the Mike Hoffman trade.
Yeah.
Where he's like traded there for a day and then flipped somewhere else.
I'm not sure. But anyway, I think Brassard's going to get moved again. Because it doesn't really fit, in my mind, what Florida needs right now.
No.
So we'll see. But I really think he's going to get moved.
Yeah, and I mean, that would be a pretty good asset to get back to Columbus, because I think the type of player that I picture Brassard being, he fits quite well with what Columbus is now, especially under Torts.
Yeah, it could be a sign-in trade maybe, because it doesn't make sense. Like, this is the big rumor, is Bobrovsky or Panarin or maybe both going to Florida.
Yeah.
So Columbus is trying to get something out of these 2 players whose contracts expire. So getting another player whose contract is expiring seems
a bit
strange.
Yeah.
But
or does Brassard still have time? Because that's why Pittsburgh wanted to get rid of him.
I think his contract expires. I think he's a UFA at the end of the
I can't remember
season.
which way that went because I know one of the teams was looking for cap relief, and it helped because the contract expired this season.
I'm pretty sure Brassard's expires this season.
Okay.
But I could be wrong.
We've never been wrong before.
Doesn't happen all that often, but
as we had a 5-minute discussion on where Matt Duchene was when Matt Duchene was traded.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it would really suck for Columbus to get rid of both, but it's looking like it's gonna happen.
That's the way it seems like it's heading. We've talked in a couple of episodes about how it kind of be difficult for Columbus to have to give up their 2 best players in the middle of a playoff push, right before a playoff run. Like, they're not in sell mode.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're going to probably look at their options to trade them because they don't want to lose them both for nothing, because that would be pretty huge as well. Yeah. Especially because they don't have a direct replacement, because I can't even think of a forward or forward prospect they have that would be a decent, not replacement, but like someone to play in Panarin's role. And especially with Bobrovsky, I mean, Korpisalo is supposed to be a really good prospect. But he's still young, and I don't think he's quite at that level yet.
Yeah, I think it could be a thing where Bobrovsky has struggled really hard in playoffs. So if they get some other goalie somewhere, maybe the team has a little bit more confidence. I mean, True. Bobrovsky's a hell of a player in regular season.
Oh,
but
he's
in playoffs, he's
one of the most amazing goalies in the league.
That being said, though, I mean, Columbus has sucked in playoffs as well too.
Yeah,
so it's hard not all on the goalie, but
it's hard to
sometimes
pinpoint.
That's what it takes, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, well, I mean, there's Reimer involved in those rumors too. Reimer going back to Columbus.
I think Reimer was just me proposing stuff that I never actually saw Reimer's name.
I saw one. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to think what would fit back to Columbus with that and what they would need in return.
Yeah. So another big rumor is Kovalchuk. Well, it's not a rumor, but he was asked. He said, I think, that he would waive his
there was
movement clause.
Some conversation that came out that Kovalchuk is willing to waive his no movement clause.
Oh, I did want to point out too that Panarin said he wants to go to either Florida teams or big East Coast teams or Chicago.
Yeah, so he just wants to stay on the East Coast, basically.
So sorry, Western Conference, but Panarin is not for. You're not getting the bread, man.
I mean, Chicago's in the Western Conference.
I know, but I mean, it's not very far west.
It's one of those you're actually in the East, but you still play in the West teams.
Yeah. So I just wanted to point that out because it sounds like he wants to go to a pretty big city.
Yeah.
And then Florida would be pretty dope. So
probably. I mean, imagine him playing with like Barkov and Huberdeau.
Oh my God.
That'd be a line.
Florida fans just nutted. Yeah, so pretty crazy. Kovalchuk signing that contract to go to a contender, and then turns out he's been used in a 4th line grinder role.
Shout out to Willie Desjardins.
Worst coach in the league. That's by far.
Such a questionable decision. Like, he's 35 or something, isn't he?
Yeah,
you don't play a 35-year-old scoring winger as a defensive forward.
We need to develop your game.
Yeah, so that's the wrong time for that.
Better player, yeah. He's definitely being.
Like, I know the team is not playing very well, and you're trying to just find anything that will help, but that's not really a great solution.
Yeah. I'm going to show my ignorance here because I don't watch a lot of LA Kings games, but I've seen online that people were saying that he's actually doing very well in like a 1st line or 2nd line role, but he's just not being used that way.
I mean, I checked his points earlier. He was leading
the team at one point, wasn't he?
Probably.
But like why would you put him on the 4th line?
I have
Willie
no idea.
D.
Yeah.
Team Canada coach. Yeah. What an idiot. Anyway, let's move on. I wanted to talk briefly about the Alex Edler injury last night.
that was rough to watch.
Yeah, so he was turning around and his stick got caught or something.
Basically what happened is his stick got caught in, I can't remember who the Flyers player was, but it got like caught in his skate or something.
Maybe?
Probably.
I don't know.
It got caught in his skate or something and yanked Edler's arms around him, which threw him completely off balance as his upper body went one way and his legs were going the other way.
And he couldn't get his arms up.
Yeah, and he didn't have any time or anything to let go of the stick, and he literally just face planted in the ice.
Yeah, it looked really bad.
And he was down for the count. Like, the Flyers around him were immediately like waving for the trainer, and the trainer got out there and immediately waved for the stretcher, which is always concerning.
Yeah, it looked like he was out as soon as he hit the ice.
Yeah.
I mean, that being said, like, when you take your first aid course, they always tell you like head wounds bleed a lot, even if they're not that bad, just because the skin is so shallow, thin, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they just bleed a lot, even if it's not that big of a wound.
Yeah.
So the blood, a lot of people are saying like, oh my God, the amount of blood, but it'd be more worrying for a concussion because of how he slammed onto the ice.
Yes, very, very much so.
So there's a report that came out today, the day after. John Shannon said that Alex Edler's not injured. He's just sore and he got stitches.
Yeah.
And you were telling me that he must still be being evaluated.
Yeah, I did see that he is or was, as of today, the day after it happened, that he was in concussion evaluation.
Yeah, I would assume that would be standard protocol because he left on a stretcher.
Yeah.
It looked really bad.
And I mean, even if he had stayed, like there was no head wound injury that, had him taken off. He went face first onto the ice, so he would have been pulled out anyways.
He got knocked out too.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely going to have a conky.
Probably.
With the amount of force that he hit the ice. Anyway, I hope he's okay. He's been having a good season.
Yeah, it's nice resurgence for him because he's had a couple of rough seasons from the sounds of it.
Especially since he's had that back injury. Like it really set him back a bit. So it's nice to see him bounce back. And I think there were some rumors about him maybe being moved too.
I think him and Tanev are both kind of. I don't think it's like strong rumors like that's gonna happen, but
yeah, I mean they're in a playoff spot.
They actually technically are. I think.
So who knows what could happen? Markstrom's been playing well. Canucks have been. They got Pettersson back. So
I guess it also helps that the West at the bottom is a shit show.
That's true. That's very true. So maybe let's move on to another big set of news. Is Auston Matthews signed today?
Yeah. So this morning that news broke. But initially it was just Bob McKenzie doing his thing. Like the signing's imminent. I don't know if it'll be today or tomorrow or maybe the day after, but he's gonna sign. An hour later, the official extension was announced.
Yeah, so it was $11.6 million for 5 years. A lot of people were disappointed that it was only 5 years.
But there is a huge factor that I've been reading that we might start seeing a lot of these types of contracts that are a bit shorter for the young guys, because the NHL's TV deal, I'm assuming in the U.S., is up at that point. Yeah. So the idea would be that the NHL can renew their contract with someone at a lot more money because the league's been growing and it's probably undervalued since the last deal was quite a while ago, I think.
Yeah.
So that'll give the league more revenue, which will ultimately raise the cap a little bit more, which will give more money for the players, so they can sign for more.
Another thing I wanted to talk about with this, there's a couple things I want to talk about this actually, is that the amount of signing bonuses for this deal.
It's absurd.
It's something like 90%.
93% of his contract is signing bonuses.
Yeah, so what that means is that if there's a lockout, he'll still get paid. And the Leafs are a franchise that make a lot of money, so they can afford to do that. But something like, the Arizona Coyotes, which don't have a lot of bankroll coming in from merchandise and deals and whatnot, they can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a lockout, their players aren't getting paid unless they go play somewhere else.
Yep.
And Nylander structured his deal that way. Matthews structured his deal that way. I think Tavares structured his deal that way.
Honestly, any major free agent signing from the last few seasons has done that to some extent, where their signing bonus is like three-quarters of the whole thing.
Toronto's a team that could probably do that with, the majority of their roster.
Yeah.
It'd still be fine because just the amount of money they make.
Totally. It wouldn't matter because they're going to make a lot off of them anyways.
Yeah, I think you mentioned to me earlier in the day that this is going to be brought up in the next CBA.
I have to imagine it will. I feel like it's something that doesn't seem to have a check on it, and I can't imagine the owners are too happy. And just the way it looks, where you sign this contract that your cap hit is $11.6 million a year, and the signing bonuses are random extra stuff, and your salary is only like $700,000. I think in the case with Matthews for the first season.
I think how it works is there's like a pool for signing bonuses for each team, like they can only do so much or something.
Okay.
But I don't know that much about it.
Yeah, I got to look more into that and see if it's actually something that's, whether like the owners and the teams are annoyed at that and the players are abusing the system on it.
So I think the signing bonuses thing and like the tax-free status for many states that players can play in, something's got to be done about those, because there's teams that can underpay players so much because they actually make more.
Yeah.
So say like in Quebec, which is a very high tax rate, they have to offer players more than Tampa of state,
Yeah.
where there's like no tax. There's a few states like that. I think Washington State is like that. I think Vegas might be as well.
So
Florida. There's a few other ones, but
do these signing bonuses go around the tax too?
I don't think
How does that
so.
work?
I don't think
Okay.
so, but just like say you have let's just keep it easy, a $1 million contract in Florida. To my knowledge, you make $1 million. It's not taxed. So I'm sure there's still federal taxes or something. I don't know. I don't know much about the U.S. system, but there's no state tax.
Yeah.
Whereas in like, let's say Massachusetts or something, I think there's state tax there. You'd make way less on a $1 million
Yeah, or
contract.
even just in Canada, like you got
yeah.
provincial and federal taxes too.
Yeah.
So
you make way less
Yeah.
in those other places. So on a contract that's much larger, it's crazy. So you could offer a player like $10 million in Quebec, and they'd actually make less than say like a 7.5 in Florida or something.
which is it's a useful bargaining tactic for
Yeah, but
for some teams, but it's kind of
advantage for some teams.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And
if
I mean,
the
I guess
CBA would touch on that.
I
but
guess
it
Canadian
seems
teams
crazy.
have a workaround because they can advertise the endorsement deals you'll get versus some of the
and
other
the thing
markets.
too is that you get taxed based off of the state that you're playing in. So if you play like 41 games in your home
Right.
state or home arena, right? But the other 41 games you're working in other places, so it gets messy, right? Because
Imagine trying to do those taxes.
yeah, fuck that. I don't want to be an accountant. But then, like, I don't know how that works. Like if teams have like an accountant in like every place, or if there's just like a huge amount of NHL accountants. But
I mean, I have to imagine the teams got their own accountant and on staff.
yeah, maybe
they
like
might just
maybe the
deal
team
with it.
that you travel to, maybe they have someone who just does them all,
Or even just
something.
your own team files your
Yeah.
tax returns.
Who knows?
It's kind of might just be a service of the team to have their accounting staff deal with the player
So
tax
it's
returns.
super messy and
Yeah.
lots of loopholes and shit. But
Yeah,
yeah. Anyway,
that would be a hard one to negotiate anything on because
there's so much involved.
so much
many
involved and it's
numbers, so
government
many-
versus
yeah,
a
so many
league.
different
So
governments and
Yeah.
whatever. So yeah, jumping off the signing bonuses to the rest of Toronto's cap space, I just wanted to run some numbers by everybody. So they have John Tavares making 11.0 million until 2025. So JT's already 28. They have Matthews making 11.6 until 2024. He's 21. Nylander's making just under 7 million until 2024. He's 22. Riley's making 5 million until 2022. He's currently 24. Zaitsev is 4.5 million until 2024, and he's already 27.
which surprised the hell out of me when Burke told me that because I did not realize he was more than like 22, 23.
Yeah, so that's a bad one. And then Anderson's making 5 million until 2021, and he's 29. So until 2024, between Matthews and John Tavares, that's like $23 million between just two players, and they have to sign Marner still.
Yeah.
And he wants the exact same that Matthews won. And there's a report that came out that that Mitch, his family, his agent, all believe he's worth the same amount of money.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I see where they're coming from because, yes, Marner's the less flashy player, but he's also seems to be the more consistently reliable good player. That Matthews is streaky just by nature of his play style, and he's also, I mean, he's been injured, but you can't hold that too much against him. But Marner's just consistently good, and he's also the better two-way guy from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a great player. They're both great players. It's just going to be... I don't... If Marner sticks to his guns and wants the same number, I don't think he's getting it in Toronto.
It'll be... I don't think they can afford that.
No, because I think they have something like $4 million in space right now, but they have to re-sign Marner.
Yeah,
And I
and looking to this offseason, I saw they have $7.5 million in cap space, plus whatever comes off of Nathan Horton's long-term injured reserve thing, as well as whatever the cap increases by, to sign Marner, Kapanen, Johnson, and one other player that I can't remember who.
I think Gardner's got 1 more year, right?
Yeah, and he's probably going to get a little bit of a raise, but just by nature of it being
Yeah.
a couple of years since he signed.
And out of those contracts I read out, Riley's really stood out to me. That $5 million is definitely a bargain right now.
Yeah, if he
Gotta be
keeps
one
up
of the
his
best
pace,
D-man contracts right
Yeah.
now. But
I don't know how he is defensively, but if he keeps up that offensive pace, he's going to be getting 8 or 9
he's
probably.
going to get a huge raise
Yeah.
in 2022. That's not that far away. So it's just it's crazy
Yeah.
amount of contracts. Like,
And I also read, too, that I can't remember if this was Dubas said it or just it came out of like Toronto media, that getting Tavares accelerated their cup window. That instead of it being, 8 to 10 years, it's now like 6. That's going to be their window to win, and then they're going to have some real issues. And I
Yeah.
see this as a developing situation with Chicago, the same that happened to them around 2010 to 2015. That they've got these 2 guys making close to the cap max. At the time it was Tavares or Taves and Kane,
mhm.
and then they also had Keith and Seabrook making a lot of money as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was fine at the time; they were able to handle it. But now
Now it's paying dividends.
yeah, which, to be fair, they won 3 cups in 5 years,
Yeah,
and
that's-
they had their run, so it's going to happen. They're going to get.
Yeah, that's the
They're gonna be
natural
worse for it.
cycle, right?
Yeah, so you can't be too mad at what happened. It just sucks now that they don't have much room to work with, and especially when neither, both players have reportedly, I say reportedly, very emphasis on that word, been asked to waive their movement clauses.
I think Seabrook came out and said that it was false.
That's why I said reportedly.
Yeah,
That's,
but I mean, he's
yeah.
probably just going to say that anyway.
who knows?
But yeah, I like that Chicago analogy because Chicago's a team that could not afford to keep Panarin based off of all those contracts.
Yeah.
Now they're looking to get him back, but I mean, it's not the same, right? Kane and Panarin were
Magic.
one of, if not the best combination in the league.
They're 2 of the best puck control guys in the league playing on the same line together.
It was dynamite.
They could just skate circles around any team. It was
Panarin's
unreal.
gotten better, and Kane's the same.
Kane might even be better. He's putting up more points than he did a couple years ago too. Even I think.
Yeah, did you see that Bruce Boudreau quote? Like,
Yeah,
how he
lock
stopped
him in-
Kane. Yeah,
Yeah.
lock him in the hotel room. So yeah, it's absolutely bonkers to think that Marner will sign for the same amount.
Yeah, I personally think he's more in the 10 range, 10 to 10.5.
Yeah, I think that's just. This is no knock against Marner. I think he's a great player.
Yeah, he
But
is.
the flashy players
Get more.
get more.
Exactly.
And Matthews is a guy who scored 4 goals in his first NHL game. He's going to get more money
Yeah,
than Marner.
he's the face of the franchise. He's he's the name. Because I
Yeah,
mean, to be
he's the
honest, Marner
draw.
gets overlooked all the time.
Yeah, he's the draw. I mean, look at the All-Star game. Matthews got voted in, not Riley, not Marner.
Yeah.
Marner was having a better season at that point. He's still probably having a better season. But who do they sign first? Matthews.
Yep.
Right?
Because he's the one that's going to be worth that amount versus Marner.
He's the guy you lock up first.
Yep.
Paul Marner. I think his name's Paul, right?
His dad.
His dad, yeah.
I'm not sure what his name is.
I don't know. Anyway, Mr. Marner, Mitch's dad, sticking to his guns.
Yep. Sticking up for his son's career again. I didn't know that his dad would be involved in the salary negotiation with his agent and the GM of Toronto and their cap guys. But,
Yeah.
Why not?
I believe Mitch has said, once I feel like there's going to be a deal in place, I'll get involved, but I'm going to leave it up to my agent at
Yeah,
this point.
which
and
is
I'm going to
correct.
focus on winning, which is good. That's what you want.
Yeah, I mean, salary negotiations during the season, like a lot of guys say, are just a distraction.
Yeah, and I mean,
And you don't want to be involved in that when you're trying to go out and win, especially when Toronto's doing as well as they are.
now that Matthews has signed, I mean, that's basically the starting point for negotiations because that's the number that's in Mitch's head of what he wants. He thinks he's worth the same. Does the team? Who knows? Probably not.
Yeah.
But should he be? Maybe. But can he get that amount on the free agency? Is he an RFA or UFA?
He'd be an RFA.
RFA, yeah. So they're going to qualify him.
Yeah.
But
So,
does he does he wait like Nylander? I just don't see him getting that amount with the way that the team's
And I'm trying to think of other
finances are.
Who are Marner's comparables in the league based off his performance? Like, where does, just because I know I'm familiar with him, where does Draisaitl compare to Marner? And
about equal.
Yeah, because I think Marner might be a little bit more skilled than
As
Dry.
far as importance to their team, I'd say that's probably about the same.
Oh, importance to the team, yeah, probably. Maybe even Dry a little bit more than Marner because Marner's got a supporting cast.
Maybe like Panarin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just tough to see a team signing 3 people for 11 plus million. 3 players for 30 million.
That's
30,
over a third of your cap. So this is where too. Toronto's drafting, scouting, and development are going to be absolutely crucial in 4 years because they're going to need cheap young players who can come and play on the team, on the NHL team, and they're not going to be able to afford NHL experienced guys.
The cap is going to play a big role because they can pay whatever they want for everything else and all this, front office and their coach and whatever, but at the end of the day, $33 million for 3 players
is insane.
That's crazy. Just about half the cap in 3 guys.
Yeah,
that's
over a third.
Ridiculous. Like, I'm trying to think, like, when has another team even been close to that?
Well, I mean, Chicago again.
Yeah, Chicago, but like, aside from that,
I mean, where's Pittsburgh at?
But even Chicago, that was 4 guys.
True.
So, yeah, I mean, Pittsburgh.
I mean, I know
Crosby took a gigantic discount.
I think when he signed his contract, he's actually percentage of the cap wise close to where the big guys are signing now.
Still, he could have signed for so much more.
How much did he leave on the table though? What was the contract max at the time?
He signed for 8.7.
Yeah,
because he's in love with 87.
Yeah.
So,
but like, how much was the maximum per year at the time? Because it was no more than 9 or 10.
I mean, was that probably when like Kovalchuk's? No,
that would have been right when Ovechkin, because Ovechkin's would have ended the same year.
Yeah, because Ovechkin signed for what, like 10? I don't know.
Yeah,
Crosby's deal is crazy.
I think. Yeah, at the time, like it's crazy good now that arguably the best player in the league is making.
I mean, looking
that much
forward,
less.
I don't see the cap going up by as much to make the 3-11 points whatever contracts look good.
No, not at all.
I mean, they might get better and be worth that, but still, 3 people. It's just going to be hard to sign enough depth guys to get around that.
Which is why it's looking pretty good right now that they've got all these guys under contract until 2024, 2025.
Yeah, but they got a lot of depth guys coming off contract in between then who are going to want more money. And if they can't replace those guys with suitable talent,
it's going to be tough.
I think their window's shorter than
their
6
window's
years.
now. They're in win now mode as evidenced by Jake Muzzin, the trade for Jake Muzzin.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because like in 2024, when you have like a 32, 33-year-old John Tavares, it's not the same as having prime John Tavares, right?
Yeah, I guess it depends how he regresses.
Yeah, anyway, I know Leafs fans are probably just going insane with this, but
they're probably stoked they get Matthews.
Yeah, I mean, even then, like, they're upset that it's not for longer.
Yeah, I mean, I would too. Like, if McDavid only signed for 5 years, I would be a bit annoyed because it's like you could have stayed for longer. But I also saw that if Matthews signed an 8-year contract, that he was going to want max. Yeah. So 13.5.
Which he's definitely not worth.
No.
You could argue that he's not worth 11.6.
Yeah. What do you think about that number, by the way?
I don't think he's worth 11.6.
It's a little bit high, isn't it?
He might have been worth maybe like 10.5.
Yeah, I would have put him around 11. I think at this point, like, yes, he's absolutely one of the best players in the NHL, one of the best snipers in the NHL. But I think at this point, after 3 years, he's been injured too much and he's too streaky.
Yeah.
And I don't hear enough
And-
good things about his two-way play, but
And definitely not
I also don't
taking
watch him
a
enough.
discount for his homie to sign as well.
yeah. I don't even...
Is Matthews captain material
Yeah.
because he doesn't take a discount for his friend?
I actually agree with, I think it was Ray Ferraro said about hometown discounts that don't take them. Because
Yeah, I mean,
where's
don't owe
that
them
money going to
anything.
go? Yeah.
The Leafs are
You're
making money off
ultimately
him.
looking out for yourself, not the team. And where's that money going to go?
Yeah, but I mean, there's something to be said for taking a discount so the team can sign better players. Look at, I mean, again, Crosby. Like, maybe it wasn't that much of a discount, but it allowed the team to sign a lot more guys.
Yeah.
And
It helps the
s-
team out,
and-
but yeah.
and then you win, right? But then there's Chicago, so there's a lot of ways to win at the end of the day. But anyway, let's move on. I'm tired of talking about the Leafs. Did we talk about Ottawa yet?
No, we haven't. Our weekly Ottawa segment.
They are a team.
They are a team. They're still a team. We can confirm that they have not been anything but a team.
Yeah, so the Ottawa Senators are making a very strong push to sign Duchene, meeting with his agent. Apparently, his agent usually lives in LA. He's in Ottawa, and they're having meetings.
And I think is the same agent for Stone.
I'm not sure. I'm not
I'm not sure.
But apparently, Stone's kind of being left in the dust here a little bit, so he's
Yep.
still trade bait. I mean, they're both
Trade bait. Bob McKenzie said that it's more likely than not they're both traded. Which
probably a trade sign maybe for Duchene.
I did see a trade and sign as a proposal for Duchene. So that's not a confirmation they're going to be traded, and it sounds like the team really wants to keep both of them. It's just a matter of whether or not Ottawa is going to be able to Melnick's going to be able to open the checkbook for both of them. And Duchene's having a hard, existential crisis over whether or not he should stay there. He just doesn't know.
Yeah,
he
it's
doesn't
so
know
tough
if
with him
the-
having gone through it before.
Yeah. Especially because we've talked about this before, we know his motivation is to win now, and is Ottawa going to be able to win quick enough for him?
Is Matt Duchene the new Ryan O'Reilly? Just constantly moving on from a team that sucks to go to another team, and then that team starts to suck, and the other team is starting to be good.
It kind of sucks. You're just chasing a dream, trying to get to a decent situation, and everywhere you go, it just turns to shit.
Yeah, and then to see your last team doing well.
For a time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Colorado's kind of
Tanked a little bit.
So is Buffalo. Buffalo's
Yeah.
definitely dropped down.
Well-
I'd like to see Buffalo make playoffs. It's been since Dominic Hasek that they've actually made playoffs.
I think they did around like Afinogenov and Briere.
I think it's been something stupid, 11 years or something
No, I think Carolina's got the longest playoff drought right now.
since they won the cup.
09. They made the conference final, I want to say, in 09, and it haven't made sense.
I
And
don't
I'm pretty
know.
sure Buffalo made it with around 2010-ish with Briere and Drury and them, or Afinogenov and whoever was there.
I'm not sure. I think they're second though in longest streak.
They could, yeah, well they could be because they've been fighting with Edmonton at the bottom of the standings every year since.
Yeah, at least Edmonton made it 2 years ago now.
Yeah, that's a long time ago, isn't it?
It seemed like such a different team.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean Ottawa. I really don't see them being good anytime soon.
No,
unfortunately.
I don't see much of a turnaround, especially now that they don't have their high pick this year.
Yeah.
Their prospects are decent, but I don't think any of them are. I think their best prospects are already on the team.
It's just got to be an ownership change and a general management change, just because the way it works there is. they're just
It's
pinching
not
pennies
supporting. Yeah,
way
it's
too hard.
not supportive or conducive of a good team that's trying to win. And I mean the fact that they're a Canadian team that's having to just give away tickets, that they have trouble selling out seats,
Yeah,
and
it's
the
just
location of the arena just being in the middle of nowhere.
pathetic. Melnick is just running that team.
I'm not
into the
even-
ground. It's like it's on purpose with the amount of shit that's going on.
You'd think, and I'm kind of interested. Say the team gets sold in a couple years, and then in a few years after that, you just see Melnick. Finally, his debts catch up to him, or whatever the hell's going on. Why he's so pinching pennies, and why he doesn't have he doesn't even have a scouting staff really compared to other teams.
Yeah,
He doesn't spend anything.
In a few years, there's going to be a great book, I bet, written about
Yeah.
what
the
was
Ottawa
going on.
Senators.
Maybe like Dorian writes a book or something just about how ridiculous it was and the constraints put on him by Melnick and whatnot.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting story if there is something going on.
It's just crazy. Just the amount of stuff that's happened in
Yeah,
the last
in the last year, yeah.
And just the drop off from being in the conference finals. Just
Well, I think the conference final was just like they rallied around. They were one of those like underdog pesky Sens teams
yeah,
that just like spoiled a whole bunch of stuff. No one expected anything out of them, and then Erik Karlsson just went absolute god mode.
yeah, that's true.
Like that was just what a performance in that playoffs for him.
Very true. Yeah, he's another guy who's people are. I'm not sure if contract talks have started with him. I know he had that comment where he said like the time is nigh for contract talks to begin.
It's very
I don't
ominous.
think they actually have, but I could be mistaken. But
That's probably maybe it started behind the scenes. I haven't heard anything.
He's definitely turned it up.
Yeah.
And
Which, I mean, to be expected. Like, he's always been the guy, so he goes somewhere where he's not the guy. So it's going to take a little bit of time to adjust, and especially San Jose is a fundamentally different team than Ottawa.
right.
And everything that's gone on, it'll take a little while to adjust, but he's looking good now.
I think they'll probably sign him.
Somehow, Doug Wilson just does stuff and it works.
Yeah,
So he'll find a way to sign him, I feel.
I think so too.
It'll be, I can see it not working either, just because of all the moves that he's made recently, making it difficult. But
True.
I see him staying in San Jose.
Oh, another thing that just popped into my mind that I didn't have written down, but did you see that stuff about Duclair being benched after playing like 30 seconds in a game?
I
by
did look a
Torts?
little bit at that, yeah.
Because he made like a turnover that led to a goal, and it was something that Torts called him out for like the previous game.
Okay.
So he benched him. It was like the first period he benched
Yeah,
him
I'd
for
like
the rest of
yeah,
the
he had
entire
like
game.
20 seconds of ice time, 24 seconds or something.
So at this point, you got to think it's Duclair. It's not the coaches, because this is what, his fourth team?
He's jumped around a lot the last couple of years. 'Cause it was Arizona, and then where'd he go?
Well, he started
to...
in New York, right? He was in New York.
Oh, I didn't
New
even
York
know that.
pick?
I just remember
Rangers?
him having that one good season
Yeah, I think
in
he was a Reds
Arizona.
draft pick, and he got traded for Yandel in the Yandel trade.
Oh,
And then he was in Arizona. And
Okay.
then he was in Chicago.
Yep.
Yeah, and now he's in CBJ. And just not working.
Yeah. He at this point, I mean, that many teams, he's never really stuck around. It's
Got to put the effort in. And like
Yeah.
he's got like flashes of brilliance where he has like that sick dangle like he
oh
did.
yeah,
Was that last season or this season? Just went through everybody.
oh yeah, he can be a great player.
You can have the offensive brilliance, but to be an NHL player, you have to be more complete.
Yeah, you have to put in the effort everywhere.
Yeah. And it looks like he's not that type of player.
Yeah.
And yeah, Torts has been just reaming out his team lately.
Well, they've been struggling, I think, in his mind. I'm not sure how their win-loss performance
they've-
is, but
I think I checked yesterday, and they were actually like second in the Metro.
okay. But I mean, Torts is a pretty notoriously hard coach, so even if you're winning and he sees you do something that he doesn't like or that's potentially damaging, he's probably going to call you out regardless.
Yeah, and they have a lot of hurt people right now. But yeah, they've definitely had some pretty piss poor performances. And yeah, Torts has just been going off on them, which I guess some players respond well to.
I keep hearing it's kind of one of those things that works for 2 years and then it wears off.
Could
That
be.
eventually, the players just kind of tune it out like, oh, yeah, whatever.
Could
but-
be, yeah.
He's been there for a few years now, so
Yeah,
did just sign a
he's
long
still good
extension.
coach,
he is.
but yeah, I mean, shit's going down in Columbus.
Yeah. They could just be in a cold streak, too. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, let's move on. So Ovechkin, he got a point tonight. Game's still going on. Kills me I'm not watching it right now, but he got 1 point on TJ Oshie's goal in the first against Vancouver, which gives him 1,180 points, which is the most as a Russian-born player in the NHL.
Which is very, very impressive number. And to think most of that is goals.
Yeah, it's like 640-something goals, and then
Be 540.
yeah, something assists. And
So
yeah,
congrats to
congrats
Ovechkin.
to Ovechkin. That's quite the milestone.
We look forward to 1,180 more.
Yeah. I hope so, but I don't know about that. Another milestone is Patrice Bergeron is playing in his 1,000th. Fuck, I can't say that word.
1,000th? There you go.
Game tonight.
We're having a great time with words tonight.
Yeah. Very highly cerebral humanoid.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. It seems like there's a lot of players this season who have played at 1,000.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just what a leader that guy is, playing with like no lungs in that one final.
Punctured lung, torn abdominal muscle.
So yeah, Patrice Bergeron, definitely a warrior. Just
Yep.
a guy who's anybody would want on their team.
Absolutely. I mean, he's one of the most iconic players of the generation. He's been so, and I know the Selke's a bit of a reputation trophy, but he is consistently deserving of that award.
Yeah, unbelievable two-way guy, wins face-offs, just probably a huge locker room guy. I know Chara and him are kind of co-captains of that team. He would be undisputably a captain on any team.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so congrats to him for playing 1,000. He's a guy that's been injured, so this should have happened a long time ago, but yeah, what an accomplishment. So let's move on.
So one thing I did want to mention, over the weekend, the Oilers had 2 games, one against Philly, one against Montreal. They managed to cough up leads in both of them in the third period. One in particular was the game in Philadelphia that they had an absolutely atrocious overtime. And it's actually amazing how in the span of 30 seconds would have been 6 guys on the ice by the time you factor in changes. And every single player on the ice did something terribly stupid that led to Philadelphia scoring. And looking at it on the surface, you're going to see Chris Russell left alone to scramble around, and because he's not a 3-on-3 defenseman, he's just there because they have injuries. And, you know, he does his best, but he's not the greatest guy in that situation. But he would never have been in that situation unless the 2 guys who passed him the puck, the 2 forwards, didn't change randomly when they dumped the puck to him and then left him alone with 3 Flyers on him.
Yeah, I saw that.
So he gets taken down, understandably. The Flyers get the puck, and he scrambles his ass off to the other side of the rink to get his guy again. Gets over there and does it, so props to him for being like the least at fault for that goal. But then you go and watch the puck end up behind the net. And suddenly you have Connor McDavid standing in the corner. He looks at the guy with the puck and starts cheating up the boards, leaving Nolan Patrick alone in the slot. Ty Rattie gets completely outworked in the corner and loses position entirely. And that guy ended up passing the puck to Nolan Patrick. And for some reason, I still can't figure it out because I haven't seen this particular spot, but Talbot lost his stick. So he's got no stick on this, basically one-on-one situation with a shooter. So I don't know how every single person on the ice can screw up that badly in an overtime, but it's really just telling of that team's performance in a lot of games where just nobody can do anything right.
Mentally checked out.
Yeah.
That's how that happens.
And you would expect, it's hard to blame anyone in particular, but you would expect more out of McDavid to
back check.
Yeah, he's bad for cheating a lot. That's my biggest knock against him.
It's
yeah,
a maturity thing.
That I guess he looked at it. He thought Ratty would have had a better chance of getting it to feed him, but he checked out.
Don't trust your teammates.
Yeah,
check your guy.
Yeah.
Especially in 3v3.
So he left his guy wide open, and that guy scored. So that's a tough one. But I mean, initially I saw a lot of people knocking against Chris Russell because he's the easy target, and he was the one on the ice who's most directly, related to it.
It's kind of the defense versus forwards bias. A lot of people blame defenders because it's easy and they're probably the last guy with the puck. But if you don't understand positioning and team play, you're going to blame the D-man even though it might not be his fault. He got put in a shitty position.
Yep.
And he did his best to recover. Like, he busted ass across the ice, hustled up.
And even more to his credit, he managed to hold a puck away from the Flyers until McDavid and Ratty got over there.
It wasn't like a high danger pass that the guy made, the Flyers guy, across the ice.
Yeah.
And Russell got back into position. So he made
stopped the shot.
He made a slight error because he kind of was in a bad spot and he fell over almost.
Yeah, so along the boards he kind of
getting rubbed out.
Yeah, he pinned himself and then he didn't move the puck forwards.
What's he supposed to do besides ring it around the boards just going right to a turnover.
Yeah, so
Like, the guy's changed. He's either going to back it up the boards on the same side to nobody, ring it around the ice, which is just going to get picked off, or put it up in the middle, which is going to, again, probably going to get picked off.
that's just a breakaway.
Yeah. So he's not really being supported by his teammates, and that's a fucking shitty change to make.
Yeah, in
Like,
overtime.
That's like novice hockey. Don't change in the defensive zone.
Yeah. Especially because they gave him the puck and then skated off.
Yeah, like, okay, you deal with it.
Like, they could have dumped it in and skated
It's
off.
like beer league hockey. Like, okay, D-man,
you
deal
do
with
everything.
it. If you fuck up, it's your fault.
Yeah.
It's not our fault because we weren't on the ice. I'm not going to get the minus. It's you.
Yeah.
So that's just shitty hockey, and you can't do that to your teammates. If I was Chris Russell, I'd be fucking pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed at McDavid and Ratty, but probably more so McDavid.
Yeah.
And Talbot for losing his stick.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Maybe he got.
I still don't. I need to go back and watch and figure out why that happened.
But then I want to talk to you about that other overtime against Montreal. That 2-on-0 that McDavid and Dry had. And then Dry like slows down and lets Petrie catch up to him, and then he makes like a really bad pass to McDavid.
Did he even pass it? I think, did he even pass it? He just lose a puck.
He gets it over to McDavid like barely, and then McDavid.
Oh right, it went off McDavid's stick or skate or something, didn't
it?
Yeah. That was stupid. Like McDavid, Draisaitl 2-on-0 in overtime. I'm standing up ready to cheer.
That's the ideal situation.
Like,
but then he goes so slow.
He's like, I don't know, maybe he was at the end of his shift.
Like, you got to.
I don't know when he got on the ice.
This is something that I've seen happen a lot, is people criticize Dry for doing some dumb things.
Oh, he had an awful game in Montreal, by the way.
Like, you got to give McDavid the puck on that 2-on-0. He's the fastest guy out there.
Yeah.
He's the guy who's going to score. Yeah, Dry is a good passer, but McDavid has to have the puck on that. Like, you're better off giving McDavid a breakaway than having a 2-on-0.
Yeah. Easily.
Especially if you're just going to slow down and let Petrie catch up. And to not have the awareness to know he's catching up is terrible.
Oh, I mean, you should have seen this play earlier in the game that basically shot from one side of the ice, led a rebound onto the other side in the slot with a wide open net. For some reason, Draisaitl's standing in the corner watching this play happen. If he had gone back to the slot where he should have been, he would have had another easy tap in for a hat trick. But no, he's standing in the corner because he passed the puck and went over there.
It's just, again,
it's
lazy, checked out.
Lack of awareness, kind of situational awareness.
Yeah, it's tough to see because he's a good player. He's better
totally.
than that. But
he has games. He has bad games. That's one of them. But ultimately, he is an insanely good player who is just very good at finding himself in the right spots with a good ability to score and find other players.
Yeah, and nobody's immune to criticism, right? Like, that's the point of having a coach and working on your game and practicing.
And I have to imagine that, if I'm noticing those types of little plays, I have to imagine that the coaches are talking to him about it.
Yeah, and on that play, on that OT against Montreal, which way were the benches, or like, were they skating?
Were they on the long change?
Was the Edmonton at Montreal's blue line, the bench, or was it at their
I actually
blue line?
don't know.
Because if they were at the long change, I don't think they did the long change for OT. But that's on the bench to tell them, to yell at them, like,
yeah,
what's going on a bit.
And this is sort of what might end up being an ongoing issue with the team is communication. That it's always kind of like guys don't really know what's going on around them, and you kind of wonder if they're communicating properly on the ice to let everyone know what's going on and where to be.
Yeah, because like you watch hockey games, any game, and people are gonna be like wheel, 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 or like like last man or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that seems to be an issue from an outsider perspective, is like just that lack of communication.
Totally.
And definitely just on that 2-0, that's a breakdown of communication and knowing what to do. But how many times have McDavid and Draisaitl just lit up overtime? So it's just weird to see them have that, because normally they were just they at least get a scoring chance out of that.
Yeah.
But then on that play, like, they just shot it, or like the puck went wide, and then
I don't even think they got a shot.
Drouin just skates up the ice and gets into the slot, like no contest.
And this, another bring up Chris Russell again, because he was checking Drouin on that play. That Russell's not a 3-on-3 defender. He shouldn't be in overtime. He's only there because of injuries.
Yeah, like, you don't want Russell out there against that line.
Yeah, so
Domi, Drouin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
think it was
It's a bad
Drouin and Danault maybe. So I mean, Drouin is insanely fast, and this is what the commentators were talking about after the goal, that Russell's giving Drouin an extra step because he doesn't want to get beat by a guy who's way faster than him on the turnaround. So he gave him more space, but Drouin used that to cut to the inside around Russell because Russell was too far away and not really in front of the shot. So that one's another hard one that it's like, okay, well, you tried what you thought you were supposed to do with a guy like that. Didn't work.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up Andre Sekera because he's been assigned to a conditioning stint.
Yep.
And I wanted to know, in your opinion, what's going to happen when he comes back up to the NHL? Because I think if he came back at this point, they'd be over the cap, right?
Yeah, I don't know the exact numbers on it because I don't understand how LTIR works for the cap. But the main conversation point is that they will have to make a trade of some extent, of some kind in the next week to bring him back up because they've used up a little bit too much of his LTIR cap relief.
Okay, so do they have to move a D-man or a forward, do you think?
I mean, they've only got 27th defenseman on the team, so they should probably be moving Manning because he's the more expensive of them.
Right.
And to be honest, he hasn't done anything to stay in the lineup anyways. So
is Petrovic playing still, or is he hurt?
I haven't seen him in a while. I know he was hurt. I know he had a concussion, but I thought he was activated a while ago, and he maybe just hasn't played since.
Been scratched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to him coming back. It's just I don't know what they're going to do to fit him into the lineup.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the type of guy you want to bring up for the communication stuff because he's a veteran D-man and he's going to be able to teach them
so much
how to not do that.
Because they've got Clefbaum, Nurse, and Larson, all these young defensemen who need that veteran presence with them right now to help them out, help them learn, and to guide them through this process because they're all in a huge growth year right now.
Yeah. But, when he comes back up, where's he slot in? Because he's missed 2 seasons, basically.
Yep, third line.
Right.
It's going to be Clefbaum, Larson, in my opinion, Clefbaum, Larson, Nurse, Russell, and Sekera Benning / Gravel / whoever.
Clefbaum's back?
Yep, started tonight, actually.
Okay, cool. That's big. That's huge.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that.
Because those D pairings were a little weak.
Yeah, very.
Do you think the Oilers have a shot of making playoffs still?
Yes, because the West sucks. Only.
What's it look like right now for
the
Pacific?
The Pacific spot, they're way out. Wild card, they still have a shot. Yeah.
Because I think, the Canucks are in the wild card right now?
Yeah.
And
Minnesota, I think.
Okay.
Maybe.
So what's that, top? What's the race for the wild card right now? Is Colorado still in there?
Honestly, every single team at the bottom of the West is in it.
Except for LA.
Except for, LA, maybe, yeah.
Okay.
There's 6 or 7 teams that are within a couple of a few points of that spot. So realistically, any of them can make it, but yeah.
Oh, something else that just popped into my head is with Kovalchuk. Where do you think he would go? Because if LA can retain part of that salary, he's making what, 6.3?
6.2, yeah, 6.25, I think.
I think it'd be insane if he went to the Islanders. Reunited with Lou.
Yeah.
I think there's a spot for him on the team, definitely.
Oh, for sure. Because they don't have the most forward depth in the league, so they could use a scoring second line winger or something.
Imagine having the power play with Barzal feeding Kovalchuk one-timers.
That's
a recipe for goals.
Totally. And that would be pretty cool. And you wonder, the whole connection with Lamoriello.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Islanders have the cap space for it. And they wouldn't even have to get LA to eat a whole bunch of it either.
Yeah. They could just retain a little bit.
Yeah, as an incentive.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
But then what do they give up? I guess just a pick. Some pick.
Yeah.
Maybe random prospect.
I'm just trying to think, the Islanders don't have, that many assets in that sense that they'd be willing to give up. But...
Yeah. Unless they'd pick a goalie to keep and want to get rid of.
Yeah.
But you got to think LA is going to move him.
Yeah, if not for them, for him, because I think he came back to the NHL to win a cup. So
and if he just leaves, they have to eat that salary.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're gonna try
they're gonna try and move him.
Yeah, and I think at this point, I mean,
You can just get a few picks for him. It's
Oh,
worth
yeah.
it.
for LA in this situation, yeah, it's basically like they got most of a season of Kovalchuk and some draft picks in return.
Yeah, and they need that after going so deep in playoffs so many times.
Yep.
Like,
That
they need some higher picks.
yeah, they could really use that as they kind of fall into this aging core mode.
Yeah.
Something
And-
that hopefully enticed Doughty to stay.
And the Islanders would be a good fit because like they're not gonna finish like first, so if they give them like a first or something, it's still gonna be like pretty decent. You know.
Yeah,
It's not
probably
gonna
end up
be,
being
like,
around 20th in the league,
Yeah.
or the 20th overall pick ish.
Yeah. So I think that would be interesting. Now I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but
No.
that would be.
No, I
that would
mean
be a
all
good
it's
bet, I
all that's
think.
happened so far is that he's reportedly been asked to waive his no movement clause, and he's willing
Yeah.
to.
I mean, who else? I mean, fuck, Vancouver could go for him.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know what they'd give up, but they could.
They could. Why
'Cause
not?
I think they've got space.
Probably. They don't have any major expenses on their payroll right now, so they should have the space, and it's only a 3-year contract too. So
Yeah, and they could have him while Pedersen's still on his ELC. So
Yep.
Who knows? Maybe he could be in Vancouver. I'd go see Kovalchuk play.
yeah, why not?
That'd be sweet. Pedersen
Be
and
fun.
Covey.
That'd be a good line.
Yeah. Who does Pedersen even play with? Does he play with Besser
They usually connect on plays, so I'm assuming they do.
and Berchi, or
Granlund, maybe? I don't know. I don't watch the Canucks enough to know their lines.
just slot in Kovalchuk instead?
Yeah.
Because Kovalchuk plays right wing. Because he's left-handed, right?
It's been so long since I've seen him and his name that I can't remember what shot he is.
I think he's left-handed. I'm pretty sure. But again, I could be wrong. It
We'll
happens
just
a lot.
assume he's whatever left-handed.
Yeah, I think that pretty much brings it to a wrap here with everything that we
Yeah.
wanted to cover.
Yeah, covers the main stories of the week.
Yeah, so just two highly cerebral humanoids sharing our opinions. So
Our highly cerebral opinions.
yeah, so don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram. I mean, we're on Facebook, but who uses Facebook anymore?
Yep. That's
So-
the weekly Facebook tagline.
Yeah, so we'll check in with you guys again in a week or so, maybe a little bit earlier, probably on Sunday.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
Hopefully Sunday.
Had a big thing called the Super Bowl this Sunday, so
Yeah.
didn't want
Had to push
caught
it a
up
day or
with
two.
that. Did you watch that?
No.
Oh man, you didn't miss out. It was
Yeah.
so boring.
I mean, even an exciting football game is boring to me, so I can only imagine a boring football game.
It was like the complete opposite as last year, because last year was all offense, this year was all defense. But there was SpongeBob during the halftime show.
Yeah,
It was only like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I don't. I heard that. Also heard that halftime show was just awful. So
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Anyway, that's not our game.
yeah,
So
I know nothing about football. We will not talk about it. We are only highly cerebral humanoids about hockey.
yeah. All right, well that's a wrap. We'll see you guys next time.